listening to Granny Cares with your inspirational and motivational speaker, Sumayah Hodges, owner and operator of Granny's Beauty Center, affordable hair care services, and hair weave specialist. For more information, visit www.grannz.com or call 702-888-4726. Granny Cares is someone who only wants to bring out the best in you. She knows that you can be better than who you are now. Granny cares for everyone, especially the less fortunate, bringing you love, wisdom, encouragement, and hope. So don't think nobody cares. Everybody needs somebody, and anybody won't do. Listen to Granny because she cares about you. Today, I would like to talk with you about the loss of a loved one. I'm talking with that person who feels like giving up and who thinks that all hope is gone. Maybe you feel like you have no strength to carry on. That person who is blaming God and everyone else. That person who is drinking his sorrows away. That person that is using drugs to ease his pain. That woman that is sleeping around for temporary satisfaction. And last but not least, that person who is contemplating suicide. That was me about 5 years ago. Please, I'm begging you, don't do it. God granted you the sanity to accept the things you cannot change, the courage to change the things that you can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Many of us have lost someone dear. We all know that sorrow brings about a great deal of pain. It almost feels like someone is ripping your heart apart. This is the part of the process which can be both emotional and physical. It almost felt like I was in the midst of a storm. First came the dark clouds. Here you feel shocked and you're in deep denial. Your body feels numb and you can't believe that this is happening. Reality hasn't set in yet. My mom died June 6th and we buried her June 11th. After going through the whole funeral process, then going back to work and trying to start a new life without her, one of my clients invited me to come with her to the Essence Festival on the 4th of July weekend. I didn't want to go, but I did. And while we were at the concert at the festival, during the intermission, I was talking with a young man about the recent loss of my mother. I am not exactly certain what I told him to have him respond to me in the way that he did. But this young man told me point blank that my mother was dead and that she was never coming back. Of course, I knew this fact, but it was as though I didn't know, and I was hearing this information for the first time. I ran out of the concert crying and screaming, phoning family members and friends, telling them that my mom died, as though they didn't know, and it had just happened. So you see, it takes a while sometimes for reality to set in. In my case, it was weeks later. After her death, and even after her funeral, it took a while for the disbelief to pass. Next comes the strong winds. Here you feel the excruciating pain that is almost unbearable. During this strong wind is when Satan begins to play with your mind, encouraging you to drink or do drugs to avoid or escape the pain you're feeling. Again, this is a normal process of grieving. There is going to be hurt and pain. We cannot escape that. But this is when you want to hold God to His promise. God said that He would not give you more than you can bear. Now comes the heavy rains. Your emotions overwhelm you like a flood. You're frustrated and angry, wanting to lash out and blame others for the loss of a loved one. You also think that God is punishing you for something. I blamed the doctors for killing my mom. I asked God, why would you take a good woman with a loving heart and compassion for others? My mom devoted her whole life to helping others. Soon I realized that God takes us through the fire, water, and pain. He takes us through and loves us the same. Death is not some type of punishment, because one thing for sure, the angels will call each of us home one day for a celebration. Now it's thundering. The heaviness of the thunder echoes in your heart. You're feeling depressed and very lonely. Reflecting back on the times that you spent with your loved one. You miss their face and hearing their voice. You don't know where to go or what to do. You begin to isolate yourself on purpose, focusing on the memories of the past. It's very difficult trying to imagine life without your loved one. This is a time to walk in the rain. Don't just sit there and get wet. It doesn't matter how hard the wind blows or how heavy the rain falls. God can get you through any storm. Life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about dancing in the rain. So get up and start taking baby steps. Be around people as often as you can. It helped when I went back to work because it was hard for me to cry or be depressed in front of others. What I mean by baby steps is to ask God to get you through today. Don't worry about tomorrow or how you will make it. Just take it one day at a time. The next day, you pray for the same thing. God, give me the strength to make it through this day. Before you know it, 5 years have passed. Now the storm has subsided. It is calm outside. You're adjusting to life without your loved one. Your depression is beginning to lift. Now you realize that your loved one is no longer suffering and that they are in a better place. I have always said Jesus died to give us life. So did my mom. She knew that as long as she was sick, I wouldn't put my best foot forward because I would stay by her bedside until the day she died. Now I know some of your situations did not happen like mine. Some of you did not get a chance to say goodbye. But whether you got a chance to say goodbye or not, we all go through the same grieving process. Everyone must carry their own cross. Ask God to give you the strength when it rains to look up, rather than looking down, so that you can see the rainbow. Remember, the sun always shines after the storm. Now it's a sunny day, and you have learned to deal with the reality of the loss of a loved one. It does not mean instant happiness, but you found a way to move forward. Eventually, you will be able to think about your lost loved one without pain and sadness. These loved ones will always be around you in spirit. I believe they transform into guardian angels. An example of this is, there was a time when I had a visitor at my home, and while she was there, she heard a voice calling my name. Sumayah, Sumayah. I knew at once that voice she thought she heard from the way she was saying my name. I knew she thought she heard the voice of my mother because my mother always pronounced my name as though she was singing it. Sumayah, Sumayah. At that moment, I told my friend, it appeared to me that my mother's spirit always visited me around 3:30 in the morning. My friend then told me, "You're not going to believe this, but it was exactly 3:30 in the morning when I heard that voice." This is why I believe your loved one may be gone from the flesh, but their spirit is still here with you. Yes, I still cry, but not as often as I used to. And besides, it's a different cry. Do I still hurt? Of course, but it's a different kind of hurt. Do I still think about her? Absolutely. She will never be forgotten. So in closing, I want you to know that dying is a natural act of God and not a punishment. When you're going through the storm, find a tree, which is your anchor. Hold on to it as tight as you can for dear life. If it means going to church, praying like you never did before, or seeking professional help, don't be afraid to reach out. You're not alone. And for those of you who want to be supportive and don't know what to say or do, a simple hug sometimes is all it takes. Now let me share this little secret with you, only if you promise not to tell anyone. When I was grieving, what helped me the most was a simple back rub. It always soothed my pain and relaxed me to the point that I will fall asleep. Thanks to my daughters, Lamaya and Amaya. Let us try not to take anything or anyone for granted. Call that family member you haven't spoken to in a while. Tell them you love them. Whether they receive you or not, at least your conscience is clear. Remember, though the clouds are dark and the rain's heavy, the thunder is loud and you can't see your way through, God is always there to carry you through. You've been listening to Granny Cares with your inspirational and motivational speaker, Sumayah Hodges, owner and operator of Granny's Beauty Center. For more information, visit www.grannzs.com or call 702-888-4726. Join us again next week. And remember, don't think nobody cares. Everybody needs somebody, and anybody won't do. Listen to Granny because she cares about you.